In a world overshadowed by darkness, where guilt and shame cloud the hearts of humanity, there exists a universal truth. We all have a profound need for something greater than ourselves. This need is not merely a desire for happiness or fulfillment. It is a deep yearning that goes to the core of our being. It is the need for Christ. Since the fall of man, sin has separated humanity from God, creating a chasm that no human effort can bridge. Our sins weigh heavily upon us, a burden we cannot bear alone. Romans 3 verse 23 tells us, "For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God." This falling short is the reason why we need Christ. Christ came not just as a great teacher or moral example, but as the Savior of the world. He came to do what we could not, or reconcile us to God. In John 14 verse 6, Jesus declares, "I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." Christ is the bridge that spans the chasm of sin. Our need for Christ is not something we can ignore or dismiss. It is a need born out of our very nature as fallen beings. Sin is not just a list of wrong actions. It is a condition of the heart. It is rebellion against God's law, and it taints even our best efforts. Isaiah 64 verse 6 states, "All our righteous acts are like filthy rags." This is why we need a Savior. On the cross, Christ bore the penalty of sin on our behalf. He took upon himself the punishment that was rightfully ours. 2 Corinthians 5 verse 21 explains, "God made him who had no sin to be sin for us, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God." Through Christ's sacrifice, we are offered forgiveness, freedom, and a new life. But this gift of salvation is not imposed on us. It must be received by faith. Ephesians 2 verses 8 to 9 reminds us, "For it is by grace you have been saved, through faith, and this is not from yourselves, it is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast." Salvation is a gift we cannot earn. It can only be accepted. When we recognize our need for Christ, we begin to see him not just as a historical figure, but as a living Savior who desires a personal relationship with each of us. He stands ready to forgive, to heal, and to restore. But we must come to him in humility, acknowledging our need and accepting his grace. For those burdened by guilt and feeling lost, Christ's invitation is clear. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Matthew 11 verse 28. This rest is not merely physical or emotional relief. It is the peace that comes from knowing we are forgiven and loved by God. To need Christ means to recognize our sinfulness and our inability to save ourselves. It means turning to him in faith, trusting in his sacrifice on our behalf. When we do this, we find our deepest needs met in him. We find forgiveness, healing, and hope. And in this relationship with Christ, we discover a love that is unconditional, eternal, and all-encompassing. In the end, our need for Christ is the greatest need we have. It defines our lives and our eternity. Will you come to him today and let his love transform your life?